Okay, is there anything from yesterday that you would like to ask before we continue?
Always.
Yes, Kimberly.
Well, two things. I found what I was talking about in the book.
Good.
And it's only like a half page. Do you mind if I just share it really quick, Maya, so you could give us clarification?
Yep.
Okay. So, and if you have this book, it's page 111.
I have it in German. It's probably not
the same page. Okay, page 111, and it's halfway down. I put a little pink mark.
Okay.
About halfway on page 111. It says, an intense family constellation which has touched everyone came to an end. As the group leader, I breathed a sigh of relief, having traversed several tight passages. As everyone sat down, the client's disappointing comment, I already knew all that, came as something of a cold shock. The same client wanted to do another constellation the following day because she didn't feel satisfied and was having a difficult time. I didn't want to do it, and I couldn't and wouldn't promise her that there would be another constellation before the end of the 4-day seminar. At first, she was very angry and came up to me during every break to press her case. She also requested the addresses of some other family constellation leaders who might be able to help her. I had a strange feeling about it, but I still wanted to go one step further. On the next to the last day, there was some time free, and I had an idea. I suggested a constellation to her, which she did, using a representative for herself and one for me. My representative was having a hard time compared to hers and felt very tight. Her representative stood facing him, enjoying the whole experience. At some point, the situation reversed, and she felt very small and weak and said, either I collapse totally or I leave. That was the end of the constellation. That evening, the woman left the seminar. It is clear that behavior on the part of the therapist that is disturbing or dissatisfying for a client may also have an important function. Knowing this, a certain amount of disharmony can be accepted and respected, even if the meaning is not clear and easily understood.
I see now. Okay, very good. Okay, so there are a couple of things. We don't want to do the whole, there's a lot to say about it, but let's break it down. The way I see it is that the author, who is also actually a trained therapist, felt very uncomfortable about this client, clearly, right? So that can happen, but it shouldn't, right? Frankly, it shouldn't. It can happen. I don't, of course, but you should be in a space as a facilitator that you clearly see that's their issue. You're just mirroring, you're just mirroring something for them, and that's your role. You should be fine with that, because that's exactly what happens. Often Bert Hellinger often said, I'm often representing mothers to the workshop participants. Yeah, he finds himself in the role of the mother of them. So that mean it that they are angry at him or that they love him. But and that's totally normal.
It
totally
feels
normal.
uncomfortable, like, to do that with.
No, I would never do that. So
that's the only reason. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I feel like he was suggesting that, and I don't think that would be comfortable.
I think he was, because he was a trained, or he is actually a trained therapist, and he was working with Bert Hellinger, when he from the get-go, when he had the supervision workshops, and he was just used to it, that you use this kind of, I don't know how to explain it, that you want to clear something between you and the client at the therapist, because you think there's a specific unhealthy bond going on or something like that. You know how therapists can come in this situation, right? I mean, I'm sure, Suman, you know that is happening a lot, that you come in this situation. The thing is, as a family constellation facilitator, and this is why we don't use the word therapy, we are not stepping in this field. of relationships with clients. We just don't have them. Yeah. We have no relationship with the client. That's super important. Yeah. And it's all about family constellation. You constellate a family, you constellate for somebody's family system, you are the helper, and as soon as the family constellation is over, you are not part of the system anymore. So when he had struggles with it, you know, in the night before, and that's all therapy stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
it feels kind of unprofessional, like
no,
what he did.
exactly. I don't want to judge him. He's a great guy. He does fantastic family constellation. I just think he's mixed up there a little bit with therapy stuff. And I understand that a therapist can use the method of family constellation to clear or to try to clear an unhealthy relationship with the client. I can understand that. Yeah. But if you are not a therapist, you are a family constellator, a facilitator. So you don't worry about that. If you have an uneasy client, just take a deep breath, step out the field and say, everything is good as it is. They get exactly what they want. Their anger is working now through the family system, and who knows what in half a year, what movement comes out of there. You just trust the field. Yeah. But never engage yourself into that. That's my strong advice. That's all I can say. Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
My other question is, I'm just a little bit confused about how, so for instance, I have a client that would like to constellate her relationship with her aunt. She feels like her aunt is abusive towards her. And so after we did our exercise yesterday and we said we can't constellate for other people, would it be appropriate to have her choose a representative for herself and choose a representative for her aunt?
Sure. The aunt will remember first order of love who belongs.
Okay.
You can only work with family members who belong. And does an aunt belong?
Guess.
Yeah. The sister of the sister of a parent, right? So it's the sister of a parent. So yeah, definitely belongs.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good. And anything from you, Suman?
No, it was just pondering yesterday and just my role and actually did a little bit of research and found two in-person workshops in Los Angeles. So I'm excited.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So please go there and report back to us.
I will. There's actually one happening right now. It was from 2 to 6 p.m., but they do it every third Saturday of the month. So I'll go next month.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so welcome back to Module 3, Part 2. Today we are very hands-on and practical. We are talking about how to structure a workshop, and we will also talk about how to set you up for success, to work towards being able to facilitate in-person workshops, mainly in-person workshops, and the steps towards it to build up your skills, right, to do that. So we are talking about family constellation circles with friends and family. We are talking about designing a workshop and marketing a workshop, dealing with queries, of course, in relationship to workshops. Then we will look at how to set up a family constellation workshop, especially in person, and I will briefly touch also on online workshops. So, family constellation circles with friends and family, what is this? This is something that Bert and Sophie Hellinger have set up and required from their trainees, or their they also had informal trainees. Not everybody made a BA, right? So there were lots of people who were informal trained because they just went to lots of constellations, if you will, events with them. So they are recommending that when you feel the urge to work with groups as a facilitator of family constellation, that you start to gather a group of enthusiasts in your local area and build up a small pool of people that you can later rely on, that they actually participate in your workshop. Yeah. That has lots of advantages, and as far as I can see, no disadvantage. So it's extremely recommended. It's called in German Bert Hellinger Freundeskreis, which is translated to Bert Hellinger Friendship Circle. I have just take a broader term with family constellations and included the family, because they are mostly, if you have a close family in your area, they will be willing to guinea pig for you for sure. Yeah. So how do we do that? It is all about spreading the love and make family constellation known in your area, in your local area. Yeah. Or not locally, I don't mean the space locally, but the people you know, people that you have already networked with, people that are within your network. Now you get to get them together to make them become family constellation enthusiasts, right? Get a small group of these together and invite them to regular meetings. I recommend it is monthly. Invite them to monthly meetings. They are informal, they are in the evening, so everybody can come after work. They're about 1.5 hours, right? And they can be in your house, in your lounge, or in a room in your community center, or something that is local and easy accessible, and not doesn't cost anything, or at least it's not expensive, because these events are free of charge. Yeah, you want to get people together in a social and fun way. You want them to bring a potluck, or do you know what a potluck is, or is that a Kiwi term? Yeah, okay, good. Ask them to bring a potluck or drinks, non-alcoholic, of course, to share, no? And make it fun and social. That's what these circles are for. They are friends and family you want to see anyhow, and now they come to so you can share what you have learned about family constellation, and get them intrigued and get them interested and get them hooked on to want more. Yeah. So they want to learn. I mean, everybody likes to learn something new in a fun and social way. So you can prepare talk about family constellation dynamics. Just pick one, not what is family constellation. That could be the first talk. But then pick one, pick like the mother-child dynamic or relationship dynamics, or nothing too complicated, something day to day, something that can be out of this course, it can be out of a book. You can read something out of a Bert Hellinger book and then discuss it, or you can watch a YouTube video together, either some of my virtual ones or some of the old Bert Hellinger one, whatever comes to your mind. So that's interested, and then you can talk about it, and everybody learns something new about themselves. Basically, everybody loves that. Of course, the main objective of these circles is that you train your muscles as a facilitator in a safe way where you are not under pressure. And why are you not under pressure? Because they don't pay for you. You can do whatever you want, and you know you can't make anything worse. That's impossible. That's the good news. It's not like a doctor who's, or a surgeon who's allowed to train on people, right? And if it's the wrong cut, that doesn't matter. No, here we don't do anything wrong. So you can totally relax. Like, they will not demand anything special. You don't need to come to any conclusions. You just train to set up this group, how to lead a group, how to facilitate a constellation with absolute no stress and pressure. That's the way, yeah? Very important is that you are not coming to a full-fledged constellation, right? So that you call it a demonstration, Yeah, that's important. Not a constellation. You call it a demonstration. We know, and everybody knows, a demonstration is nothing artificial or theoretical. It always includes the family system and the information of the morphic field. It just means that we are not going all the way. Yeah, we are going not all the way. So let's say you ask somebody from your, let's say you have 3 people together in your living room, and you put the furniture a little bit aside. You have a little bit of space in the middle. And then you have your talk, and you had food, and everybody's happy, and is probably also intrigued if it's one of the first meetings. And then you say, okay, I show you what I've learned, and see how far I can go. Let's look at something. Who wants to look at something? And then, or you maybe ask more precise, who has a disease, right? Who wants to look at a disease? Because actually diseases are quite easy to constellate, especially the beginning of it, not necessarily what all comes later. So you said, who has a disease who wants to look at? Maybe a chronic disease, they are always great, right? So a chronic disease. Or an allergy, most people have had something, right? An allergy or a phobia or something. And then one would put hand up and say, I'm allergic to nuts, right? And they say, great, great. So we start. You choose a representative for yourself, and you choose a representative for your nut allergy. And or better even for nuts and for allergies. So one for your allergy and one for nuts, or one for your body and one for nuts, or whoever is this, that's going to be more fun. And then you would have 3 people. No, you have to have 4 for that. So you would have 4 people. 3 people of them are getting up, and you would start as you do, place them in the room, or let your client friend place them in the room, right? Then you sit back, and then you observe them. And let's see, I assume you would see that the allergies would like go away from the nuts, right? The body, whatever was representing that, the client would be probably looking away, the representative, right? And the nuts would feel quite fine because they are nice, nourishing food, and they would feel good for them, like, And this is already something that tells a lot to the people who see that, just how a representative is accurately able to represent and to accurately show the information from the field. That is kind of already mind-blowing to people who are first time representing. So you don't need to do much, yeah? And then you see where the dynamic is, and then you would say, for example, to the client who looks away, the representative of the client you would ask them, can you turn around and look at the nuts or the body or whatever, yeah? And then they would say probably, yes, I can. And then you would let them say something. You can test it. You can say, please, yeah? And then you just see what happens. This is you practicing, yeah? You don't need to have a picture. It's lighthearted. It's still serious because you are connected to the field, but you are not under pressure. And then some movements will take place, and then you said, okay, let's all sit down again. And how was it you representing? And how do you feel as a nut? Nut. How do you feel as nut? How did you feel as a body? How did you feel as a client? And then they can share, and it's all about them representing, and it's about you to start to practice. Yeah, very gentle, lighthearted. That's what you do in this circle. Because we really want you to set up for success. If you jump steps, you will stumble and fall, and you might be really disappointed and hurt and may not want to pick it up again. So that's all different in one-on-one sessions. We are talking here about group sessions, right? Okay. So of course, you can also invite, if they want a full-fledged family constellation workshop before you are ready, that they can just come online if they want it. No, that's always good as well. The goal here is to practice how to set up a workshop situation and to lead the group for you. and for the others to get excited about representing family members, family constellation, the healing impact it has on their own lives. So then this is what you are exchanging, right? That's what you get in exchange for what you provide. Of course, you will, while you do that, deepen your connection to the morphic field and be more able to connect on like this, right, as a facilitator. Okay, so that is what we call this friendship circle, and you can start that anytime, even during the training if you want to, right? Anytime you can start that from now on. After the first three modules, you can basically start that. So now we're talking about designing a workshop. After leading a family constellation for at least 1 to 1.5 years, you can, or you will, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you're ready for group works, you can design your family constellation workshop in your area. I have personally, I started with the friendship circle immediately after my training was finished in Zurich. There was no other, and Zurich is not as big as LA, but you know, quite a decent sized city. And it took me 1.5 years to have a reliable group of people together, so I could actually offer a workshop where 5 or more people would actually come and pay for. Right. So it does take, and of course for me to get more confident, of course, right. So that is about, this is why I mentioned that. You need your time, don't jump. You aim for 4 to 6 participants to start with. Make it a half-day workshop, because it is really difficult to hold the energy for a whole day. When you start, you will be exhausted after the first 3 hours. And it has to be paid, of course, but keep the costs low so you can keep the fee also low, right? I mean, not low, but you know, just make it affordable for people to come, spend a half day with you, and you know, allow you also to be more relaxed, that you don't think they really need you to provide with something extraordinary before the price. So outline in your friendship circle the difference of the meetings, of the circle meetings and the workshops, because you want them to come to your workshops and pay. You don't want them to think, oh, I'm coming to the circles, I get a workshop for free there. So there need always to be a difference between that, between the circles and the workshops. And I mixed it up a little bit in my beginnings, and I had a hard time then to revert to them saying, okay, now the workshops is for constellations, and what we're doing here is only demonstration. So it's really better you keep that going from the get-go, the strict, you know. And you can also say in the circles, okay, we leave it here. Our demonstration, of course, when we go in a workshop, we would have a full family constellation, just to make clear they understand that. Prepare poster and flyers with the detail of your workshops. I think because it's a local event, it's a community event, it's still, I mean, social media, of course, you use, but I still think a nice poster at the supermarket or grocery where everybody goes in your area, or community hall or whatever is in your area, is great to hang up, not only for the workshop, but also to bring family constellation into the face of everyone on a daily basis. Just put it there, make sure it's always current, make sure it's always there, has your logo on it, your picture, and is always looking good. So you know, people want what they see every day. That's just what we all, you know, this is all what advertisement is about. You just have to put it into their face every single day. So I think that's great. And of course, social media, that's for sure. On the poster, you talk about yourself, but be honest. Yeah, you be honest. You have to say when you have, what training you had, when you have finished it, how much experience you have. That is always helpful. If you're not pretending to be more experienced than you are, everybody will be fine with that. You know, there will be nobody will, but if you're less experienced, as you say, and it becomes noticeable, then you have a problem, right? So don't go down this road. And of course, also outline your other professions and what you do, of course, right? Not only family constellation training, so that you know you're drawing maybe also people in who like the mix that you offer. That's a unique thing, right? Everybody has a different twist as a facilitator, and gets the clients that that like that. Word of mouth is great, is the best, of course, no question about it, but that takes quite a while when you're talking about strange things like family constellation, where everybody's either thinking about astrology or thinking about family therapy. Yeah. So it's just this word that unfortunately has just stuck. So we never changed it to anything other. That is misleading people who have not inquired before. And so there needs a little bit of work to do to make them understand what the meaning is of this word, or what is not the meaning of this word. Social medias, of course, are great. Make events, post a lot. You may make your own family constellation Facebook site or Insta site. Let's say Family Constellation LA, or I don't know what suburb you are in. Maybe you want to nail it down to suburb or something like that, and make it a thing in your area, that over time people know that you're providing it locally. Right? It's always great to know that. You are living in Florida, right, Kimberly? Where there?
St. Augustine?
St. Augustine. All right.
We're northeast. We're practically Georgia. We're almost Georgia. We're the northeast, right on the coast.
All the way up there. How many inhabitants in your area?
Well, not very many, especially, you know, there's this small town, we're a little island, we're like a little barrier island, but we have a lot of tourists and stuff, but I have a lot of, you know, I'm not too worried because I have a lot of connections.
Yeah, good, awesome. But that's going to be interesting. But on the one hand, it is good to have a local area that is a little bit enclosed because it's easier to penetrate it, right? So yeah.
Well, I was thinking, hearing you talk about going, we have like one big embassy suites in town. Yeah, and going to them and maybe, you know, having it their monthly workshop, because there's a lot of events there, and that way people from out of town may not know about it and they might want to try it.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, sounds great. Online marketing, I'm not an expert in marketing, so I'm not dwelling on that. I just use the tool of boostering Facebook events once in a while for in-person workshops here in New Zealand. I'm not too sure if it works, but it's also not big money neither. So I think it might not hurt, right? What you can also offer is, before you do it on an in-person workshop, you can do the night before a free talk. If you feel like you have more people showing up, not only from your friendship circle, but also people who come for the first time, then it might pay off. So you are not kind of needing this time in your workshop to generally talk about family constellation. It's up to you. Posters, posters are really great, as I say, not only for the circles, but also for the workshops. So the circle posters is the one that you might have up all the time in your local grocery or wherever you have a blackboard, and make sure it's always there, because it's an ongoing thing. And then the workshops, you want to put it up when they are, like, when you accept bookings, and take it off again when it's over, and make it a thing that people see new. So something new, something new, something old. Is that not what you do when you are marrying? Something new, something old, something used, something. Because I'm married in Las Vegas, and I remember my American friend told me something. She had to gather all these things for me.
Like superstition. But I just wanted to say real quick too, Maya, that yoga studios, I just wanted to throw that out to zoom in. Like if you're connected with any yoga people, that's a great place because they have their own students and they'll totally come.
Yoga studio is great. It's also great energy for family constellation. I really like yoga studios as a room, as a venue for in-person workshops. Flyers, you know, old-fashioned, the threefold flyers that you give out are of course the waste of time and money if you just give it to people on the street. However, if you go to a fair, let's say a spiritual fair, or some astrology fair where you go, Kimberly, or a therapy fair where you go, Suman, that makes of course sense to have a flyer that you hand out, right, to the people who come, because the targeting group is much better than if you know, go on your marketplace, like, or go on your you know, how do you say, village center and just give it to people. They would all throw it away for sure, most of them. Direct marketing is something like what I call direct marketing is something that you are offering to your friendship people. For example, discounts when they come and when they bring a +1. So that would be something. Or anybody who comes and brings a +1 gets a discount, or gets a voucher for something, or gets whatever, or a gift, or something that they are spreading it. So you are kind of, not that we want to have a snowball system or something like that, but just something that is a little bit nice, something nice for them, so they like to spread it. Not only because of they love family constellation, but just, you know, it's always nice to give something extra. So dealing with queries, give the necessary information, but make sure that you're not talking, make sure you post or whatever social media event page, whatever you put up for your workshop has enough information and links, yeah. They can link to your own website. They can link to the Family Constellation virtual website, wherever are informations about family constellation workshops. Make sure that that's on there, and then hopefully people are not having too many generic questions that you have on phone when they call you about the workshop, because that can be really annoying. I can tell you that from experience. Yeah. So have enough information in whatever media you use, not too much. People's attention span are so short these days, that's crazy. And links so they can deepen their knowledge. And then when you have queries, focus on the ones that are regarding their personal situation and not family constellation. You always say then, have you seen the website? Have you seen the link? Go to the link, watch the videos, instead of, you know, it is so annoying to over and over try to explain what family constellation is. Yeah, and most people who don't put the effort in and researches themselves, they are not coming anyhow. That's my experience. You spend so much time with them and they just want to be seen. You know, they just want to take your time, basically, and then, but they don't come. So just take this as a bit of an advice that that's most of the time not worth it, right? Just make your promo material as good as that. They don't need to ask you about family constellation anymore. Nowadays, you actually really, it's much easier. You can just say, have you seen another self on Netflix? And then they might see yes or no. And when they say no, then say, watch it. And then you know a lot more about it. So something like that. Payments is, talking about workshops, is something that Bert and Sophie Hellinger were very adamant about. They said everything needs to be paid way before the event. So they never accepted cash at the door. They said that's not good to have, like, to deal with money at the day, yeah. And also, it's very important that everybody pays in at advance, not after the workshop. You wouldn't allow that because there is this interesting, how how can I say, this interesting obstacle often that people find not to come. Of course, it is something that holds them back because, you know, there's as you know, a lot of changes going on, a lot of transformation in a family, especially the first ones in family constellation. And although people can be excited about it, they can also suddenly be afraid of it. Yeah. And then last minute they wouldn't come and they would have excuses, or they would even have an accident or something like that. But this is already all part of the movement. This is already all part of their healing process. And so what they always say is they have to balance it out. They have to pay first, and then they get whatever they want to get. Yeah, they can get the full workshop out of it, or they leave the workshop after the first constellation because they freak out. That's what they get. Or they don't even come because they have to deal with this, you know, with this resistance. And that's what they get out. So they already get something from the moment they book a family constellation workshop and pay, they get whatever they need out. So it's always balanced. And you know how observant we are that with our work, we are not disturbing the orders of love. And we want also to make sure that the third order of love is not disturbed by us dealing with people. So make sure payment is in at least a week before from everyone. Otherwise, they can't get a seat. Yeah, if possible, or at least the day before or 2 days before, right? What are we doing with uneasy customers? I mean, you are both professionals. I don't need to say much about it. I suppose you will always have the odd person, right? I assume, right? Suman, Kimberly? Yeah.
Always.
Of course. I mean, that's normal, right? That's what you have. So there's nothing special in our profession as well. You understand it has nothing to do with you. You're not adjust to your customer. The customer is there because you are who you are, and everything is at the right place at the right time, and you are the one who understands it, and the other one is the one who doesn't understand it. That's the only difference. Yeah. So just let them slide, just let them go. My experience is if I have to deal with a customer or a client before a workshop with more than 2 emails, they are normally not coming anyhow. They are so difficult. They always have stuff, and then they end up not coming, and you end up spending half of your time with only one person who's not coming. So I have retrieved to a strategy to say, when I have already sent 2 emails about which are not normally, you don't need to send any email, right? Because all your information are there, they can book, done. Now you have 2 emails already about what, this or that, whatever. And then when there's the third, I would just say, we can talk about that in the workshop. Full stop. I would not spend another a minute on that customer and then see if they're even coming. Because you will see most of the time they don't pay and they don't come. That's normally what happens. We have an exercise now. I'm just checking the time, perfect in time. Yeah. You are working in a group and you are creating a family constellation, friends and family event. That means you design an invitation. I'm sure you know Canva. You know how to work with Canva. See? So use Canva and make a poster in which you are inviting to your family constellation, friends and family event or circle, or however you want to name it. It could have another name. That's yours. Yeah. Then, so while you decide what you want to put on your poster, and one is designing it on Canva, the other one is writing down the opening speech. What would you say in your first circle meeting? What would be the first thing you say? Not on the poster. Not what is on the poster. What you would say? How would you address? How would you start? What would be your first words? So you have time. You have 25 minutes to do that. you speak to you. First of all, you decide together what to do. Who's writing the speech, who's doing the Canva, what you put on the poster, what you put in the speech, and then you work separately and put it together. I make sure you can share the screen as soon as I'm out here. Let me see. So you can share the screen, you can work together, and then I put you in a breakout room. And I will pop in our halftime and see how you're doing. Any questions?
No, sounds good.
Very good. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Okay, now I'm very excited to see what you have to share.
We didn't finish what we were going to say. We were close to it, but we didn't finish. I'll share really quick the flyer. Oh, let me pull it up. Hang on, I gotta get it. Oh, come on. Zoom is so annoying sometimes. Let's see here. There it is. Okay, back to Zoom. Are we seeing the poster? Why did it stop?
I didn't see it.
It's gone again.
Okay. Yeah. I always have a hard time. Okay, let me pull it up again. There we go. Okay. Why isn't it? I don't know, Maya. It's not. Do you see it?
Ah, yes. Wow, that looks amazing. Okay, let's see what's going on there. So, free event, lovely. Discover your freedom to experience joy. Lovely. Family and friends constellation. Is there something? What is this underneath?
No, that's for some reason that's showing you. It's like on a. I don't know how to. It's all my. Hang on. It's showing you all my pictures instead of just that one. Let's see if we can do it. See, it keeps, I'm sorry, this keeps showing up on the bottom and I don't know
bloody.
how.
Oh, can we do
there we go.
here we go. I see. Family and friends constellation demonstration. Very good. Very good. So you have a one pager, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So this is very intriguing picture. There's a lot going on. So you have this how do you call that, Nautilus theme? Stars, music, something floating there like angels. I love the colors. They are awesome. They look like the Northern Lights. Somebody on a jetty going out to the sea. Nice. Very intriguing. Very
So these are the pictures. Do you see this one?
This
is what I copied and sort of layered. So that's one of them.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
Yeah.
And this is one of them, which is an actual constellation. So all three of those are in the
flyer. I
flyer.
didn't see that one. Show me the flyer again.
It's really faint. It's in there, but it's really faint. It's kind of like when you call on the spirit of somebody. It's in there. The spirit of.
Oh, now I see it. Yeah, that's like let's like find Wally, your poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the text. Free event is very obvious. It's nice. That's really good. It's gone again.
Oh, you want to see it again?
Mm-hmm.
Mine? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Oh, it's such a pain. It's up, so I don't know why it's not
sharing.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing with Zoom. I have a hard time sharing my photos sometimes. For some reason it's not showing it now.
Coming through now. So we have the free event that looks, it's very good. It's really right there, very obvious. Discover your freedom to experience joy. It's a nice headline. It's very generic, of course, right? It's very, very open. So it could also be astrology, thinking about the star situation. And then, of course, you have family and friends constellation. What was the following again?
Demonstration.
Demonstration. Family and friends constellation demonstration. So family constellation is now family and friends constellation. So you would probably keep the word family constellation together, so people can actually relate that to what they know, if they know it, yeah, and say more about the circle, about this regular event, like more like we meet every first Wednesday of the month, or whatever it is, yeah. So to make clear that this is not a one-off event, that's something regular, and that is yeah, that you are gathering regular. And you might even want to share that to bring a potluck and a non-alcoholic drink, and that then you are demonstrating family constellation. You can even say in the method of Bert Hellinger. Yeah, to make it very precise what you are up to. How does that sound?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so other than that, I think it's a lovely poster, lots of artwork in there, and that's of course the main attraction, which is great. And then the information, they can be just a little bit more detailed. So people know exactly what to do. Very good. Okay, thank you for sharing. Now, what do we have for opening speech?
I'm going to share that, Maya. Okay. You guys can see all my OCD. So this is all, as far as I was able to get. And then with Kimberly's help as well. Should I read this?
Yes, please.
So family constellation work is a powerful way of exploring life challenges in a creative and memorable way. We are a supportive community of people who are passionate about self-discovery and well-being.
Nice.
Today, we are here to demonstrate alternative healing techniques that are empowering and do not use traditional talk therapy or medications. We help to hold an energetic field, which is a container to support you as you discover the guidance of the family system in your own way and at your own pace. That does sound good. Yeah. It is our passion to discover new ways to help and expand and improve from wherever you may be. Family constellation work, I don't know where what happened to that. Well, always know in constellations work, we are taught that there are no delays, only the perfect right timing. And then I started with, this will be a 3-hour workshop and participation is voluntary.
No, this is a circle. This is a friendship circle.
Oh yeah, this is the friendship circle. Sorry. Yes, I'll change that. Even if you're only here to observe. Oh wait, so then this is the friendship circle. So I can take all of this out then.
Yeah. But you can so you can you started a sentence with family constellation work that you can say a little bit more about the family constellation work, and then you can say we are gathering here every month now, bring a potluck and bring a drink, and bring your friends and family along. We have every time I will talk you through some very interesting facts of Bert Hellinger's Orders of Love, for example, something how you improve your relationship with your parents, with your children, with your partners, with even your neighbors, whatever, whatever comes. and how you can alternatively heal diseases, and just blah 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 as much as you want to. And yeah, that would be about it. Yeah. So I really love the entrance. Go back there. There was something really powerful. We are a supportive community of people who are passionate about self-discovery and well-being. That's a lovely sentence. Yeah, so community is in there, supportive. We, people, passionate, self-discovery and well-being is a very strong sentence.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Today we are here to demonstrate alternative healing techniques that are, yeah, exactly. So instead of today we are here, you can also say we will all meet regularly here to demonstrate alternative. Yeah, yeah. We have to hold an energetic field, which is a container to energetic field, which we call the morphogenetic field, you could say, if you wanted to introduce them to the scientific terms, which is a container to support you as you discover the guidance. Yeah, that's great. So it's about you, and you are supported, and you are discovering guidance of the family system in your own way and at your own pace. Some people really like that, I'm sure. I'm not quite sure what you mean in your own way. I understand your own pace, but what is your own way?
I don't know. It just sounded nice.
Well, it sounded nice.
I know. I know.
It is our passion again, great, to discover new ways to help you expand and improve from wherever you may be. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah, I like that. Very good. Very good. Is there anything else that came to you now that you would like to add?
Probably more of the information of this is going to be happening, the third Saturday of each month, and
Something
all the
like
lovely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And bring others. Yeah.
Yeah. I got stuck on one sentence and I couldn't let it go. And Kimberly was helping me with it. And I was like, I don't know why I couldn't leave the sentence.
What did you just say? OBSD, ODS, or what is this again? I never can, this abbreviation. Obsessive
OCD.
compulsive, what? OC. What was it again?
Compulsive
Obsessive
disorder.
compulsive disorder. There's an OCD and?
That's it. Well, there's the OCD, the symptoms. There's the
OCD,
the acts, and then there's the personality types.
Yeah, OCD.
Yeah.
We all have a little bit of OCD, so don't worry. Before you had all these fancy names for something that wasn't a something. Yeah. We were just called gosh, now it slipped my tongue. In German it is penibel. Oh, just like precise.
Or there's an English astrology. It's just Virgo. You just got some Virgo going on.
My son is
Virgo going on?
There you go. You're a Virgo. That's perfect sense. I have my moon in Virgo, so I'm the same way. Like I get details, organization.
Yeah.
My son is Virgo. I'm a Virgo through and through.
There you go. Virgonian. You can't help it.
No, that's all lovely. Okay, so that was great work. I hope you enjoyed this exercise. And this is exactly how you would start, right? And that would give you a lot of confidence in your further way. Okay, we have a break now. We make it 10 minutes as always. Unless you have worked so hard, you need 15. We can make 15 if you wanted to. 10 is enough. Let's do 10. And see you then.
Yeah.
The beginning. You don't have to be complete at the beginning. Just place yourself on the path and you will be led along by the field. Like an acorn grows into a giant oak tree without knowing all details how to do it, it just starts at the bottom and takes it from there. That's a quote from Bert Hellinger. And that's exactly how you begin. Right? always remember, you don't need to be complete at the beginning. If we would think we need to be complete before we begin anything, we would not begin nothing. Right? Life is a journey. So, setting up the room. Because both of you have not many experienced in-person workshops yet, right? Did I share with you yesterday the figurines situation? Did we do that yesterday?
You showed
Yes.
us, yeah. I'm mostly familiar with in person.
Yeah, and Zoom in Boston. So, but I demonstrated it already, right? How the room is set up and how the figurines. So I don't need to share now then the figurines again. So that's exactly what we see yesterday. Yeah, you create this round seating with space in the center for the constellation. The constellations are confined. It is important. So I've been often asked, can we not do a workshop outside on a nice summer day? You know, no. The energy is too scattered. It's just going too much out. It's hard to confine a space, and you definitely want a confined area where you are defining the field. Yeah. So people are in there in the field, and out there are not in the field. That's really important, right? And if you think of another self, he had this pavilion or something, right? Because it was in south of Turkey or something, very hot there. So there were no walls, no windows, but he still had this, you know, with also with curtains, like, you know, you could say. So this was really good picturing how important it is to have, even in the hottest countries, a confined space where you conduct family constellations. You have the two chairs at the end, remember? One is empty. Make sure you put the chairs where the energy is high. If you're familiar with Feng Shui, go with that. That's fantastic. If not, just feel into it. You don't want to seat the two chairs in the corner that is busy, not, of course, not in front of doors or windows or anything like this, right? Incorporate elements from the earth, so you have the support of the earth as well. You will naturally find in the room almost all elements. You may want to add fire element with a candle, but don't put the candle in the middle, because that's the place where you work. Put it next to your side. Yeah. You have maybe wood there, chairs, wooden floor, beams, whatever. Water you always have there. An earth representing earth, maybe a plant, maybe flowers that you bring. It's always nice to have some flowers in a workshop, and metal as an element present is there anyhow. So that does help the energy to flow. The room needs to be tidy, and especially the floor is of importance. So when you choose a room, just check the floor, yeah, because you have people lying on the floor, kneeling on the floor, rolling on the floor. It's really unpleasant if the floor is awkward and not tidy. Super clean carpet is great, but only if it's a new carpet, not an old smelly one. But if it's a good condition carpet, that's great, because of course it's much nicer to kneel on a carpet than on the wooden floor. Yeah? If you have a wooden floor or a vinyl floor, something that is really hard, consider to have yoga mats there, or something, or fitness mats, or anything that you can provide if somebody, like elderly mainly, cannot kneel down or sit down just on the hard floor. Yeah. Most rooms that you will rent, talking about yoga studios, for example, they will have some sort of equipment. You rarely get a room that is completely empty, which would be absolutely great. Actually, we had a room that was completely empty. This was an old chapel. I just remembered a workshop in Auckland. That was fantastic. It was an old chapel, was completely empty, and the chairs were in a side room. So we could just move out the chairs we needed. It was a really good setup. So you can feel the difference when you have no clutter in a room. You can find space in a yoga studio, maybe the entrance area or a curtain somewhere, or the kitchen where you can put it. If you cannot find space where to put it, you can gather it all together and bring a bed sheet from home and put it on top. So you just have a, just a pile, a white pile somewhere in the corner of the room. That would work as well. If worse comes to worse. Place blankets, pillows on the chairs to, normally these chairs you get for seatings are quite basic. So it looks more inviting, because what you want to avoid is that the participants go off the chair and onto the floor and hang out on the floor. No? So we are not sitting on the floor in family constellation. We're sitting in chairs. That's really important to hold, to hold the energy, because as closer you sit to Earth, as more inclined you are to relax and, go into lounge mode and go into consuming more the constellation than being part of it. Yeah. So, and we want to avoid these notions of consuming like a Netflix show, what's going on there. Yeah. We want to be connected with it and part of it. And therefore your spine needs to be upright. You need to be in some, and you need to be ready to go. You need to be ready to go into the constellation as well. Have extra items handy to use in constellations if you're running out of representatives, which will likely happen, especially when you start and you don't have large groups together. So these extra items you have already when you have, for example, pillows. You can also use chairs. Chairs are also really good. I once had nothing useful, and I used the shoes the participants took off at the entrance, and they also worked. So anything worked. You don't need to bring them with you. You will find them there, but check the room for items that you can use. And we talk about the use of objects in module 5. So check for objects that you can use. The absolute essentials, I mean, you don't need blankets, you don't need this, you don't need all of this. You need chairs, tissues, and water. That would be the bare minimum. That would be the essential. No? Tissue and a bin for the tissues. So tissues are very important, because there's always tears running, there's always releases going on, and that's really important that the participants feel comfortable in doing so, and they are when they have enough tissues. They can use, right? And of course, water is very essential to have throughout the whole workshop, even if it's just a 3-hour workshop. Good. Structuring a workshop. So we want, in general, a workshop, see a workshop structured in 3 parts: the opening, the main, and the conclusion or the finish of it. The opening of the workshop in family constellation is an invitation to introduce the participants to each other. If you have not many, if you have many participants, you might want to skip that because it takes too much time. Yeah, but I would say everything under 8 or 7 would be nice to introduce to each other. You introduce yourself, of course, that's important, that you talk about yourself, not too much, but enough that they know who you are and what you're doing. You can talk briefly about family constellations in the method of Bert Hellinger if you wanted to, and have something prepared, how you want to start to bring them together, right? You can do a game. I'm thinking of improv games, for example, or laughing yoga I did once. That was fun. You can have essential oils or whatever rings your bell, really, right? That you bring in something you're comfortable with, something that you do anyhow, nothing special for the workshop. So something where you don't need to think about how to apply it and how you feel about it, and everybody would enjoy, whatever that is. Or you prepare guided meditation, and then you can do that, yeah, to bring everyone together and into the field. Then the main part, of course, is constellation. Yeah. First of all, you will explain the rules, and then I have another sheet coming up, another slide where I suggest the rules that you might want to talk about, and you can also print them out and hang them in the room if you wanted to. Then you ask participants who wants to constellate. Of course, you can also pick participants. That was sometimes Bert Hellinger did that. But I don't know. I just like to ask who wants to constellate and pick one of those who raise their hands. Now, what happened if nobody raises the hand? What are we doing now? And that can happen. It can happen if you have, especially if you have a workshop full of new ones who has never been to a family constellation before. Nobody wants to be the first one. What are we doing here? In this case, I would get everybody up and do an exercise. So I remember one of the workshops. That was not too long ago. I have here in my very rural area, which I don't do very often because of the lack of people living here. And all of a sudden, this was quite full, and a lot of locals are coming for the first time, and because maybe they heard me talking about it for years, I don't know. So. And nobody wanted to constellate. And of course, time's running, time's ticking, right? Especially if you have so many people. And then, so I got everybody up and divided the circle into two. The right side was mother, and the left side was themselves, client. And then I had them standing opposite of each other in a row, and everybody has a counterpart here. And then we did meeting your mother for a few minutes, and then swapped, of course, so everybody had a turn, and no speaking, no moving, no, just observing, just being with this. And it was very profound for many because they had never had anything like this before. And you know how that is when you meet your mother represented by somebody else for the first time. That is often very eye-opening or emotional. So that was very good. And then instead of nobody had a constellation, everybody had a constellation at the first, at first, yeah. So that, and then of course everybody wanted to hands up and everything. Aim for one constellation for each participant at the beginning, but it is not clear that you can do that. Depends on how many people you have. You should prepare for at the beginning to have an hour for each constellation. So let's say you have 4 participants, they have 4-hour workshop, then that would be okay. If you have 6 people in a 4-hour workshop, you might not be able to do one for each, and that's fine. You just need to make it clear at the beginning that it is equal strong, the movement of the souls is equal strong if you are a constellation for yourself or you're representing somebody else. Yeah, that in any way, shape, or form, your family system is present, and that you are chosen as a representative because this is an issue that is resonating already with the family system. So whatever, so just make clear at the beginning that nobody needs to have a constellation to have any, to have a good outcome of the workshop. Yeah. So then taking these expectations away and letting them relax. And some are also quite relaxed then because they probably didn't feel like wanting a constellation and felt a little bit under pressure. Always consider that as well. Some people really want to come, especially the first time, to observe. Oh, that's of course totally fine. No? Stick to the announced break times. That's really helpful to help you in your leadership role. And if you can't stick to the announced break times, mention it. So say to them, I know we have a break now, but we're in the middle of a constellation, so we want to see it through before we go in a break. So bear with us. Yeah, that's really good. And then, of course, we have the closing. The closing is therefore to bring everything together, to round up, to integrate the healing, and also to explain where to go from here. I like to do the closing really short, often just 5 minutes, because I wanted to have the time for constellations rather. And it is not so that you need a specific time to get out of the field or get out of a role. This is a misconception, and I hear that over and over again. Have we ever talked about that? Have we not? Okay, so sometimes I hear facilitators or participants discussing how to get out of a role, how to get out of a role as a representative. And I'm always quite puzzled why this question is already strange, yeah? Because you are, in the moment you step out of the constellation, out of the role, if you will, yeah? So you don't need a ritual, you don't need to clear anything, because you're not inviting anybody in. You are just resonating with information. That's all we do. We are getting information, we are going through with the movement, we are bringing new information to the field, and then we're stepping out of the constellation with the words, we leave it here, or this is it, or it's here is it finished, or whatever words you use, and everybody sits down and that's it. You are not connected to the morphic field anymore. Just a second. What people, I think, struggle with is if they are emotionally involved in the representative they had, yeah, and then they are sitting down and then they still feel this emotion. But that has nothing to do with the family system they were represented. That's their own family system, because they are chosen as a representative not by chance. Yeah. Something is there that needed to be looked at. So they are still into a movement that comes out of this constellation for their own healing. Yeah. And that is fantastic. There is nothing wrong with this. And we definitely don't want to disturb that. Yeah. Or take it away, or cut it off, or clean it, or anything like that. Yeah. So be aware, if you are facilitating a workshop in the method of Bert Hellinger, that is what happened. If somebody is struggling afterwards, so much so that it is this disturbance for the workshop, then you might take this one and constellate with him. Yeah, because they have resonated so strongly in this, whatever issue it was, with their own family system in the same issue, that they quite need to continue this now in their own constellation. That's possible, yeah? But that has not to do with getting out of a role. They are in their own role, right? If you will, not in somebody else's. So just get that clear. And when people are talking about how do you get out, how do you clean energy, they're mixing that up with a sort of a spiritual possession. Yeah, we are not inviting spirits here. We are not inviting anybody in. There is nobody there. Yeah, we are just gathering information. We are always staying ourselves fully in control. Yeah. Okay, Kimberly, what was the question?
Well, I was just gonna share, Maya, that as a facilitator, I hear you say, we leave it here, we'll leave it here.
Yeah.
The representative, and in all my experiences doing constellations, at the end of the constellation, we always hand back. We just say, I give you back what is yours and I take back what is mine. And that's important for me as a representative. Or even to just say, I leave it here. Like I hear you saying it, but for me, myself, to say, okay, I leave it here.
Yeah, you can say that to yourself, of course, if you know that.
But I think it's good to let the client, you know, the representatives know to say that, because I've participated online with some of the workshops, and I haven't said that because I wasn't guided to, and so I started doing it for myself. But I wasn't leaving it there when you said, okay, we leave it here, and I realized like, oh, I need to say that for me personally.
Look, that's
So
exactly what I just explained. If
yeah,
if this is continuing, it's not somebody else's issue, it's your own. And you don't want to leave it there. You want to still let it move. Just let it move.
It's not, I just feel like and I'm just sharing this because it's been my experience with other facilitators, as a representative, to be able to just verbally say it. And if I say it, you know, then it works for me. If not, I don't know. And I understand what you're saying, that maybe it's for me, possibly. But me carrying that outside, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, I walk out of the room and my family is there, and I'm stuck in this constellation. That's not good for me.
Why would you be stuck in the constellation?
Well, and Suman, I mean, it happened with Suman's constellation, where
Yeah.
I was.
What was Suman's constellation? You have to remind me.
A child that was
yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced that in my own personal life, so I'm not sure how it pertains to me, but I was still shooken by it. And I had to go within and be like, oh, I never stop within myself. I mean, I heard you say, okay, we leave it here, but I never myself voiced stepping back out of that role. And so I had to do that, and then it cleared it. So I'm just saying, from my own personal experience, I feel like it's important, as a representative, and being a representative, you know, because I've only really ever been a representative. I haven't been a facilitator yet. But as a representative, I feel it's important for me at the end of a constellation to say, okay, I give you back what is yours, and I take back what is mine. And
okay, well, that's not a thing. That's not what you would do. If that helps, if that's something you want to do, that's fine. But I would not generalize this to others, right? I have been in thousands of constellations.
He says to do that too at the end.
Yeah, we talked about that he has this therapy approach to things. Yeah. So if you are only focusing on facilitating a family constellation, that would not be necessary. If an individual feels that is good for themselves, that's great. I'm not, you know, everybody can do what they want, really. But I'm just saying, if you are facilitating a family constellation, the method of Bert Hellinger, he has never had any ritual or anything for his representatives other than we leave it here, ever. It just didn't exist. The only exemption, huh?
It wouldn't be damaging. Would it be damaging to the constellation or to the representatives to do that? Because
I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel the urge to do that. But if you want to do that, then you do that. You know, everybody has a different approach. I just want you to make clear that you are not how can I put that? You cannot, gosh, what is the English term? You cannot, from your own experience, conclude to other what they are experiencing, right?
Okay.
So just,
there's something to research for sure.
Yeah. So just, you know, that's great. So I teach you the method of Bert Hellinger, not Berthold Ulsamer. I have never been to one of his workshops. And every single facilitator is different. Of course, every single facilitator is different, right? I can only tell you when somebody is under distress after the constellation, that is their stuff. I want you to remember that. Yeah. Right. It's very important. And that's also something that I remember Sophie Hellinger has done. She had, I remember one constellation where she had somebody who was kind of shaking or something after the constellation. I don't remember what it was, and constellated with them. Yeah. because it was quite obvious that there was something going on, yeah, that wouldn't settle down, and it would have been destructive to the workshop, if you don't address, right? There's so many myths about, in the 80s, Bert Hellinger had a client, he was a therapist, I think, or I don't remember, and then he hanged himself, and then all of a sudden, in all the German papers, it was, oh my gosh, Bert Hellinger is killing people. This is all, you're doing stuff, you're doing new stuff, you have to go through this. And he went through this, and he never changed anything. And then all of a sudden, 20 years later, it was the go-to method of in Germany, yeah, of everyone who was working with therapies or with healing or with whatever. Yeah, it became the go-to. So you have to go through all of this, and we have already had many people in this on this path. So the path has lots of footsteps, and we can follow these footsteps, and we be safe. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you don't go another path. That's fine. You can always do that. But just remember, just always remember the basics. That's what I want to teach you, the basics, so you can find your own way. So you can always think, does this feel it's still, in Bert Hellinger's way, or am I now going, my own way, which everybody is allowed to do, right? So, okay. Right. We have talked about integrating the healing. And then where we go from here. Of course, you use the participants that are there, and mostly will be very happy and intrigued by what has happened at the workshop, to invite them to your circles, of course, in the beginning, then when you still do them, or invite them to other events that you do, right? That's, of course, the way to go. And also to ask for feedback. At the beginning, it is really good to have feedback. Not about the constellation, don't misunderstand that nobody's allowed to talk about the constellation, but how the setup of the room was, how the venue was, how the time was, things about the workshop, not about the constellation. Yeah. And then you ask for that feedback, and then you might know what to change or not to change further. Yeah. Okay, here comes the rules I mentioned that you have at the beginning. It's really best to set them out at the beginning instead of singling out people during the workshop that you think they are not behaving properly. So better put it all out there at the beginning, and then when somebody is not obeying the rules, you just need to mention, remember, we have this rule, please stick with it. Yeah. So the facilitator is the only one talking is the most important rule. You wouldn't believe how important that is. Yeah, and you will feel it for yourself when you start with workshops. Even in the friendship circles, it's gonna already show. The participants just love to talk to each other, and as more comfortable they feel, as more they will do that. Especially if they know, if you have the circles and they know each other, and you will have all of a sudden everybody's facilitating all of a sudden in your constellation. And has something to say, yeah, and has an opinion and sees something and this and this. That's all fine, but they cannot say it. Yeah, they have to ask you if that's okay to say it. And then you will most likely rephrase it for them, because they most likely don't say it in a way that is moving the soul. They most likely do it in a way that is lesser strong. To an extent that had no impact. The second rule is if representatives ask for permission to talk, they should focus on saying one word to express the sensation, emotion, or feeling they get. So when you make that a rule, then you avoid that they are trying to explain to you or to another participant in the constellation what they perceive or what they feel. They shouldn't explain it. They should explain it to themselves quietly and then find this one word that expresses it, right? So in this case, you avoid too many words during constellation. They're all very counterproductive. The next rule is all movements have to be slow motion. Any movement that is rushed is not coming from the field. It's coming from the mind or from an emotion. So important is here, set the rule. If you feel a movement, follow it, absolutely, but slow. You need to follow it slow. That's the rule. So if somebody wants to go to another place as a representative, yes, go there, move there, but slowly. One step at a time. After each step, hold, stop, think, is it the right place? And then take another step. So every step counts as a movement, if you will. Yeah? Every step counts as a movement. And then also when somebody wants to go down, like feels this urge to collapse, yeah, ask them to be slow. Go slowly down. Don't let's just crash. It's not safe anyhow, but it's also important to be able to say, okay, am I really want to lie down, or am I maybe just want to sit down, or am I maybe just want to kneel? That's it's all different. That's all different for the field. It's very different for you. It gives you different observations. So you need to know exactly where they want to go. The next one would be no chit-chat on the chairs or in the room while the constellation is going on. So if even if they want to talk about the constellation, they should not say that, right? They should be really focusing on the constellation, what they perceive. And if they didn't understand something, that's fine. They don't need to understand it. They don't need to ask what was going on there now, because it's not like you're not following a crime movie where you have to understand who the perpetrator is. You're part of a constellation, and whatever resonates with you is what you get, and what you overhear or overlook is not for you. That's as simple as that. Yeah, that's going with the field. No leaving the room during the constellation. Very important. Not even leaving the seat. However, they can move around and change seats when they can't see. So if you have large constellations with lots of people, sometimes they all have the backs to somebody. They're all facing, and you really don't see what's going on at all. So of course you can go to one of the empty seats to the other side and look at them, but mindfully and quietly. That's the only movement that is allowed in the room. And don't cross a constellation. That's another rule. I didn't write that down, but don't, just go through a constellation to another chair. Just go around. No eating or drinking other from the water bottle outside of breaks in the constellations. That is also very destructive. And again, it gets somebody in the mood of consuming the constellation instead of being part of it. Yeah. I mentioned that you will see that especially in full day workshops, that the people like to slop down onto the floor towards the afternoon after lunch breaks. And then they're kind of lying, they're very comfortable, almost dozing away like this. That's obviously not good for the field. They are not resonating anymore. They're becoming destructive to the field, and it is they're kind of not available to represent neither. Yeah. And they might be needed because that's why they are there. So ask them, make it a rule, and say them, do not lie down on the floor when you're not representing. And then when in the afternoon, and you will see one is starting, everybody else wants to do it as well. They go and gather all the pillows and all the blankets in the lunch break and make a nest somewhere, and then they just stay there, right? And then you have to ask them, everybody back to the chair. We are proceeding with our family constellation, yeah? Right. After the workshop, invite to your circles when you still run them. That's, of course, the first thing to do. to have more enthusiasts together to come regularly and spread the love and the word of mouth. Offer a special gift for comebacks or referrals. Also great moment to do that, to say, you know, if you come back, you have 10% discount, or if you refer us to another, you have 10 or 20% discount or whatnot. So everybody likes a little bit of a gift, I would say. Create a WhatsApp or a Facebook group with all your participants so you can stay in touch. Of course, you can have a newsletter and write emails, but I think the stats are quite negative for newsletter clicks and openings. Especially if that one is not really hooked on and waiting for information. However, this group seemed to be looked at a lot easier and a lot more. So that would be something that you might want to create from the start, a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group where you sign up everybody under who wants to. And then you can put all your events on there. You can remind them. You can put some interesting facts on there that you might gather, or quotes from Bert Helling, or whatever you would like to do, just to keep in touch with everyone and make sure they not forget about you, and they might come back to a workshop when they feel the need to work on an issue. Don't discuss with the participants his or her constellation after the workshop is finished. That's important. Remember, you have the chance to talk about the constellation right after the constellation, when the client sits back in the chair briefly, yeah, and that's it. After that, no talking. So when the workshop is finished and you are there, you are, you know, you are sending everybody off. Everybody says thank you, and then there's this one person said, I was wondering about my constellation. What was going on there? You know, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So what would you answer then? How would you do that, Kimberly?
There we go. I would just say we're done talking about it.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can also formulate it a little bit more positive and say, we now allow the movement of the souls to continue, while words would be destructive to it. And if you still have questions about it after half a year, that's the distance it can go, then I'm happy to talk about that in the next workshop. So something like that. Everybody likes to take something home, and I think it's lovely to give them a little routine to do at home if you wanted to, especially a little meditation, or a little observant about how they use the word please, or how they use the word yes, or sorry, or something that is very simple, and they can kind of stay in this healing field and this field of the orders of love, and experience for themselves how that little things already change their lives. So they feel the profound, is that a word? Profoundness? Profoundness? Is that a word? Yeah. So they feel the profoundness of this modality in their daily life when it goes on. Or you tell them to gather a nice pebble or flowers, or they have a crystal at home and donate it to their ancestors, to their family system, and include everyone who is not included yet in the family system. And then every time you walk by, you think of your family system and of everybody who is not seen, or something like that, but whatever. So something like that, a little of a routine. Offer the family constellation virtual meditation, the gift, if you want to, and you don't want to come up with your own. When they sign up to the newsletter, they get this meditation automatically, and they can also use this as a routine, nighttime routine or whatnot for the couple of days or even weeks after the workshop to stay in this field and in this work. Ask for the feedback. You can use MailChimp for that, or other apps or other tools. However, it is most likely that they leave it when you prepare paper and you let them fill them out before they leave the room. That's just most likely that you actually get feedback. Therefore, make it short, to the point, so they don't have too much time to do the feedback. Just a couple of ticks, yes, no, maybe, and then you know already right after the workshop, you can think about the next one and what you might want to change with the next one and what you want to keep. So this was all about in-person workshops I can think of. Is there anything else that you might think of that you would like to hear me talking about? Compared to the workshop that you do in your fields, what is different here? Is there anything different, Human? Yeah?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Engagement, communication, structure, feedback, moments of emoting, who's talking, who's not talking. It's a polar opposite experience.
Oh, interesting. Do
Mhm.
you find that challenging to do that, or are you looking forward?
I'm actually looking forward to it.
Mm.
Yeah, just to see and looking forward to the one I'll do in person to see how I'm even as a participant in it. Just to see the power of how it all unfolds the way it does. Yeah, to be in it. I'm excited for that. Yeah,
Very
but
good.
totally
Totally
opposite.
different.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oh, well, I'm good. We talk about it then. And Kimberly, what is your experience so far?
It's just going to be a lot less of me because I do lots of workshops all month long, and so I'm on the whole time. And so now I don't have to be on in that way. I can just be in the field and let it happen. And so I'm really excited.
Great. Oh, that's true. That's a big difference, of course. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about your expertise, it's all about you, obviously, like, but not there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also good to make sure that you want it like this, and it's not an ego trip. That, like, I'm not meaning that disrespectful, you know, that it's not about you and your expertise. It's about them and the field, and not even about them. It's their family system, and
Exactly.
the greater healing effect it has, and make sure that they all understand they're all part of it. So they are not like coming to you and say how wonderful you are, but saying to everybody in the group how wonderful they are. You know, that's the objective, if you will.
A lot of my clients throughout the years have come to me and like, oh, are you a healer? And no, I'm not a healer. I'm a messenger. I'm a messenger. And so now it's like, you know, I get to, it's not me so much being the messenger, but just opening up the field. And I'm so excited to just hold that, like to be able to hold that field open for everybody and let it, you know, surface, whatever come up. I'm really excited for that.
That's great. And that's exactly what the word facilitator means. You're enabling, you know, you're enabling, you're facilitating, you are not doing it. The representatives are doing it.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, now we talk about online workshops. I urge you to don't attempt online workshops until you had facilitated a lot of in-person workshops, because you need the 3D vision of who's standing where by just looking at the little pictures and the screen, and I don't think that's going to be an easy task if you have not experienced a lot of in-person workshops. However, I want to give that, round that up. And of course, we only meet online so far. So it's worth talking about, like what I would like to share about that. Yeah. It's much more difficult to hold also the space, yeah, when the participants are not present in the flesh, especially when you are not the one talking, as you just said, when it's all about you. Like in this training, you're focused on me. When you are having workshops where you talk about astrology or about therapy topics, yeah, then they are all focused on you, and that's easy to hold the space because they are there because they want to hear you talking. And as you said, it's completely different now, right? You are holding the space on a much more subtle level, right? And even if nobody's talking, and even if there's a lot of silence going on, you still need to hold the space, which is easy in a workshop because they see you, how you are collected and how you are, resonating with the field, and they are fascinated, but it's not so easy online to grasp that. Yeah. So that is another challenge with online workshops, family constellation. I actually thought they are not possible before COVID. Yeah. That's when I started with the online work because I had no other choice. Otherwise, I ditch my work or I put it online. And I was so surprised how great it worked online. I had a few test workshops with people from Europe, I know, and wherever, right? A few test workshops on Zoom, and it really blew my mind how I would not have guessed it, to be honest, really, quite frankly. And still, there are people that think online workshops wouldn't work because they want this hugging experience, they want this closeness of the group. Of course, mother issues, anyhow. So, but even that can be provided in an online workshop if you know how it is in an in-person workshop, because then you have a picture of it. You know how you can kind of translate that into virtual rooms. It's like from analog to digital. You know the language, how to translate that. But it's still a translation. That's what I feel. It's still translated from the 3D world into the 2D world. It's still translation, so that comes first. And however, if that is then established, then online tools can be great. That's not for one-on-one sessions. I'm particularly talking about workshops, right? It's not for one-on-one. One-on-one sessions are different. We talk about that in module 5. So don't worry about that. All I say here is about workshops, group sessions, yeah? What you can do is, of course, you can have an intro into family constellation online, yeah? You can explain about family constellation, like a webinar or something like that, yeah? And then you can explain it, and then you can share videos or something and explain what they see there, and something like that. That would be fantastic to do online. Yes, Kimberly.
This makes me nervous because I know we have to do online. We have to do 2 practice ones online.
3.
Oh, 3. Like how challenging it is, and
That's
so
okay because I'm there. That's totally fine. Because I'm there, it's totally fine, and I can also use the figurines if you want to, so you can see at it. So you know who's representing what. So we have all the tools here in the practice workshop, so you won't be alone and overwhelmed, right? But yes.
In the practice workshop, are we allowed to have the representatives move around, or do they have to stay in their chair?
Well, you have to kind of see them, right? But sometimes you can ask them to stand up and show a certain movement. Yeah. If they're still in the screen, if they're still in the camera, if you can still see them on the screen. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. But if you lose this 3D the picturing, I share the figurine board, and then we can put the figurines there, and then you see it. Yeah. So that's no problem. Yeah. I know it. Yeah, but it will be easier. It is much easier. It's not as easy than when you're on your own, of course, right? So that's it. Also consider that a participant can just leave the online meeting without a trace. And if you're in a family constellation and you see somebody's in distress and all of a sudden they are just turning their video off or they're leaving the meeting, that might leave you sleepless in the night, you know? So make sure that you're not putting yourself under this kind of stress. When you're in a room with the people, you see what they're up to. They cannot just vanish, you know? You can talk to them, but when they vanish from the screen, they are gone and for never seen again, and you have no idea what they do the next day or the next year. And that can be very daunting when you start. So you don't want to be set yourself up into a situation that made you uncertain about what you do. Also consider remote participants get tired easily when they are not connected to the field. So you need to also check in with everybody if they are still connected. And that's also just by experience, you see if they are connected or not to the field, and other, if not, you would engage them in one shape or the other. When you choose later on to provide online workshops because you feel confident with it, of course you need a computer. Devices don't work. They don't show enough frames, enough camera views. You need a very good camera. Normally the built-in cameras of laptops don't work. A mic and a headset, of course, and a good light, or actually more than one. You need a set of several lights to be one of the best illuminated faces in the workshop, because this is increasing your leadership role. You know, if there would be a shadow, or if there would be a little bit blurry or a little bit darkish, then you know that is taking away from your strength as a leader of the pack, if you will. Backdrop, I think, is extremely important in the virtual reality. And I'm sharing here my personal opinions, right? You can do what you want. I personally don't like green screens. I don't know how about you. I think this ghostly appearance of the people is really strange. And then they are cutting out hands and glasses, and I think the technique is really not good enough to be actually used. And also the green screen pictures in the back, they all look artificial and they all look so fake, and I don't know why people like that. Anyhow, because you need a quiet room anyhow, right? When you are facilitating a family constellation, that needs to be quiet, that there cannot be a coming and going, that cannot be in a bar, that cannot be outdoors, like that needs to be somehow undisturbed anyhow. So what I prefer, and what I also prefer to look at, for example, if I look at you two, you have both very nice backdrops that you can easily use for this purpose. It should just be designed for that. So you can shift pictures around, and you can move this and that and make a backdrop that you like when you look in the camera, and then keep it that way. And it's nice to have some interesting but not detailed objects in the background. I see that also with others when I have Zoom calls and I see them. It's intriguing. I like that. You see a little bit of personality, but not enough to be too personal, you know. And that's I think is the best way to go. And then repetition, of course, is always good. So just keep it that way. Once it works, just keep it. Don't try to have every time another backdrop. Makes it a little bit less stable. Everything. Internet, talk about stable internet connections, of course, key. Yeah, and we all are at the mercy of our internet. We all know that it's just so bad sometimes, and you cannot do anything about it. And I do have, although I go to so much lengths to have the best ever internet on my rural location here, which I have, but still, you know, sometimes it's just not working correctly. And then I remember I had an online workshop, and mind you, half of the participants were frozen and in the middle of the constellation. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to break it up. But then somehow I could still hear them, and somehow we made it through. And really, it was not, the constellation was not suffering under it, but it is nerve-wracking as a facilitator to have that. It's really nerve-wracking. So yeah, what can I say? Just make sure it is the best it can be. Eliminate potential distractions. That goes without saying. If you need to be heard, use professional noise reduction software. I did that in my first years, and then I figured out, because I'm editing the video recordings, and then I heard my voice and I saying, and then sometimes they say, I can't, you're cutting out, and I was like, what's that? So, and then I saw that on the recording, and actually this noise reduction software is also not there. It was very expensive. It was the best one to get there, and it was still not good enough, because it's alternating your voice. It's it's editing out background noises, and then all of a sudden your noise becomes completely different, your voice. So not the best thing. This is all not really, I think this is all not really advanced technique. It's still in the beginnings. So best not to use it, and make sure you're not distracted. Yeah. And of course, light is the most important part. If they only see your face, so don't compromise on that when you want to work online. We talked about backdrop, so I leave that there. So keep the setup and backdrop when it works for you. I think that's really important. Makes also kind of your can we say corporate identity when we work with family constellations? I'm not quite sure. Why not? Follow the structure of an in-person workshop as much as possible online. So you visualize, everything I said, you kind of visualize for yourself. Yeah. You can also do exercises with the participants, put them in breakout rooms, have the mother exercise with participants or something like that. Everything is possible as long as you would feel confident to do it in person. You can actually do it online as well. Remember, your work is built on trust, so make sure you're not losing it. That is related to privacy rules. You know how easy it is to ruin somebody's name and how difficult it is to get it back out of the shadows, right? So establish some privacy rules. Actually, that goes for all workshops, also the in-person workshop. I should have said that before as well. In the rules, say whatever's in the room, whatever constellation we're talking about, whatever we're talking about is not leaving this room. So nobody talks about somebody else's constellation outside of this room, not even inside. Nobody talks about somebody else's constellation. Yeah. And even if they have a profound experience and are desperate to share that with somebody else, don't use names, of course. Never use any names. And that also means that you can offer your participants at the beginning to use different names when they introduce themselves. You can say, use your spiritual name, use a name that you like. You don't need to. It's not a must for a family constellation to use your own name, right? Just that you know that. They can use whatever name they want to if they want to stay more private, or if they just like it. Sometimes you just want to slip in another role. The field doesn't mind, not that I know of which name somebody carries. So one-on-one sessions, as I said, we have the whole module 5 about it. Yeah, but I just want to mention here that despite the friends and family circles that you're offering, you can also offer, especially when you're already working professionally as a coach, with family constellations and one-on-one sessions. I find it's the best way to start using it in a professional way. I just be aware that it is not originated by Bert Hellinger, so but I can say from my own experience, it really works well with his method, and it doesn't make it in any way, shape, or form lesser good to work. And the good thing is when you work in one-on-one sessions, and I'm talking in person here, in person one-on-one sessions, that you can use objects. We talk about that in module 5 as representatives, and that already tells you a lot with some experience. You know what dynamics, what's going on there, what objects they use, what objects they chose for who represent what. So I think it's a really fantastic way to do family constellation, and different to a workshop. Definitely different with as if you work with people representing, but interesting enough to do it. Okay, details. So now we have the last 20 minutes for another exercise. It's a little exercise. It's a little bit of a self-inquiry. I would like you to discuss and to think about and discuss what is your greatest fear and what is your greatest joy when you think about leading, facilitating a family constellation workshop. Yeah. So you work in your group, you discuss the two questions with each other, what that would be. Yeah. And then you also ask yourself or ask your partner if the fear is based on reality, meaning if it's based on a previous experience, maybe, or probably it's just a mind construct. And you in general also think about what makes you feel joyful, yeah, in general. And if you can find yourself feeling that while facilitating a family constellation workshop as well. Yeah. Okay. We don't do it too long. Let's say we do it 10 minutes in total, this exercise, or maybe just 5. I think that's probably enough. 5 minutes. And let's put you in a room. So to be fair,